Owners paying close attention to the Treasury's new plans for foreclosure relief. So far this fall, only 10,000 homeowners have received permanent loan modifications. This, according to the Congressional Oversight Panel.
What does the government need to do to boost that number and stabilize the housing market? Joining us now with his take, Greg Rand, managing partner at Better Homes and Gardens, Rand Realty. Well, we were just joking with Peter, don't say only and then put the word billion after it. Right. But I think you could say only 10,000 permanent mortgage remodifications. I mean, I think that's a little disappointing, is it?
Yeah, well, that's almost nobody compared to the million or 5 million they wanted to try to help. This program, I'm afraid, was doomed to fail.
Why?
From the beginning.
Tell us why. What was wrong with the program? Because people look at it and say, well, why didn't this work?
Several things. About a year ago, when this thing first started being contemplated, some public officials came out and proclaimed that they politicized it. They proclaimed that if you are having trouble making your mortgage payment, you're a victim and you need a government bailout. And that was 4 months before they even announced the details of the plan. What they didn't seem to realize is they created a wave of demand, a surge of new foreclosures or new defaults from people who said, I'm having trouble making my payment. I was making it just fine, but now I'm going to, they call them strategic defaults now, but they're basically purposeful deadbeats, people who said, let me stop making the payment to get a piece of this action. If you talk to the mortgage servicers, and I have, they are overwhelmed. The number of case files they have are stacked all the way to the ceiling, and in that file somewhere, in that stack, are people who they're trying to help, who maybe deserve some kind of a government assistance, but they don't have an infrastructure to deal with this. They never did.
There's also a dirty little secret here, which is that a lot of the people looking for modifications took out liar loans. They lied about their income, and now on a loan remodification, they might have to tell the truth, and then they could be accused of perjury.
That's correct. There is a fraud trap inherent in this, okay? Exotic loans, one of the things we talk a lot about, exotic loans almost all have one thing in common, that is that nobody proved your income. Nobody asked you to demonstrate how much you made. You wrote it down, and if you had to make 150 grand to qualify, you wrote down 150 grand and off you went. Now, if you want a loan modification, you have to sign an affidavit that attests to what your income is now. Now, if you were in the same job as you were 4 years ago, you have the same job, same location, same title, you said you made 150 grand, you signed that federal document stating I made 150 grand, now you say I make 90 grand, you just essentially documented bank fraud for them. Okay. And so I think it's driving some people back because they know they've got themselves snagged.
So is this a Franz Kafka nightmare that we can't escape from, or is there a way out of it where we could actually start modifying mortgages in an appropriate way? I mean, the free market's working. Wilbur Ross's company is able to remodify a lot of mortgages, and his rate of recidivism, meaning the second modification isn't failing, is much higher than the federal government's.
Right. I think actually a lot's going to change, not in the near term, but when the housing market overall bottoms out, which will be middle of next year sometime, you're going to see banks finally say, okay, now that we know where the bottom is of the collateral, now we can get a gauge on what our mortgage-backed securities portfolio is really worth. And they're going to say, everything on this side of the line, we're going to go ahead and foreclose on it. Everything on this side of the line, we're going to see if we can't then concentrate our energies there and try to do the loan modifications.
All right. Well, Greg, last week we had this extraordinary bottom in the mortgage rates.
Right.
It's not surprising that they're up a tick this week. Are they going to continue to go up?
That's what it sounds like. It's one of these things where when you're down around 5%, at some point, or below, they're going to release and start going higher. The interesting thing is that in the real estate business out in the field, the home buyers are aware, or they already believe they're going to go up. So I don't know if they're going to or not. They're probably going to next year, but the belief that they're going to is creating a higher degree of urgency among home buyers who don't want to blow those good rates.
Speaking of urgency, I mean, here Freddie Mac's 30-year fixed rate mortgage now at 4.91%. Right. Again, historically low here. Right. Opportunity is there. Yeah, if you're out there and you haven't refinanced yet, you're crazy. Get out there now, get that kind of low rate, because when they're gone and we're in the 6s, we should probably stay there or 6s to 7 for a very long time. I don't see us getting back down to this again for the foreseeable future.
Going full circle, are we going to see a lot more foreclosures in the next year?
You're going to see the foreclosures that have been in the queue where they haven't actually foreclosed, so people who are facing foreclosure or in default, you're going to see the bank make the call to go ahead and take those properties back. So that wave will hit next year.
Greg Rand, something to look forward to. Yay.
Yeah. Greg, thank you very much.